In 280 BC, pretty much where I'm sat right now, an extraordinary monument was constructed. Evidenced now by little more than crumbled stones and rubble. Believe it or not, here on Rhodes, down by the old harbour, stood one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Way over in the distance behind me, up above the port, is one of the greatest surviving fortifications from anywhere in the medieval world. That's the castle of the Knights Hospitaller, who once ruled this island for hundreds of years, waging their epic titanic battles against the Ottoman Turks. The entirety of the medieval town walls still survive, and they're some of the most extraordinary you can find anywhere. But down here, by the shore, this is where the ancient monument once stood. But now, behind me over here, this is a fortress that was also constructed at that time. Amazingly, as often happens, I saw this in Alexandria with the Great Lighthouse, this may well be constructed from some of the blocks that made up the base of that epic construction from antiquity. It's good to have a marker so you can still see where the thing once stood. And what a statue it was. Now, it's not just any ancient monument that got called a wonder of the ancient world. Only the best. And this one really was. Only standing for around 50 years or so, just one generation. Its dimensions were ridiculous. Allegedly put up to celebrate a successful defence of the place under Demetrius I, who'd besieged this island with a huge army, much like the Ottoman Turks later would. And this isn't a situation where we just have one person's opinion on what this thing was. There are loads of references to this place in antiquity. All of them alike saying that it was really one of the most extraordinary statues, if not the most extraordinary statue that had ever been built. At over 100 feet high, that's 33 metres, it would have dominated the skyline of this harbour, telling anyone who wanted to come in here of the power and influence of this place. That's around 2/3 of the height of the Statue of Liberty, making it, by quite some distance, the largest statue in the ancient world. There's even a reference to the Rhodians being called Colosseans because of this Colossus that was so famous to all the people around. But then, unfortunately, in 226 BC, as so often happens in the ancient world, an earthquake destroyed the entire thing, collapsing it into the sea. And not long after, Rhodes, once an incredible power in its own right, came under the sway of the Romans. Now, could it be that these rocks that I'm walking on now were originally located at the base of the statue? Well, can't say for sure, but it's interesting to wonder. It really is. And there were even offers to fund a rebuilding of the statue not long after it collapsed by very rich patrons of the Mediterranean Sea. And the Rhodians took this request to the Oracle of Delphi, as so often the ancient Greeks would do throughout their history. Alexander the Great going there and asking questions about his own future and only doing the things that the oracle told him to do. And the oracle said no. Not wanting to offend the sun god Helios, very powerful elemental spirit, the Rhodians left their great statue in rubble. What happened to it over the years is difficult to say. It may be that people used the rocks to put together other constructions, much like the Temple of Artemis, which now much of it has been used to make a mosque in nearby Selçuk. Same as the Great Lighthouse. But who knows, maybe some of it is around here still, underneath these waters. So next time you're at a medieval castle, or a church, or a mosque, or a cathedral, or a synagogue for that matter, spare a thought for the people who came before, for the people whose holy buildings statues, temples were used to create those later religious and defensive structures. Because that's what we do, we recycle, we always have done. Why would you spend the time quarrying out new blocks when there are already made ones there to use by a previous generation? We see this all over the world, all over Britain in particular, with the well-built masonry of the Roman age being reused by later medieval people. And it's the same all over, here included. For who are we but standing on the shoulders of giants, walking in the footprints of those who came before? How long until these great blocks of masonry are reused by a future generation of ours? All things must come to an end.